Well, of course, I mean, for me to pretend that I know exactly what took place would be um, absurd in the extreme. I don't even know if the Ukrainian government has a narrative because there is so much political sensitivity to the issue of F-16s. Um, so much hope was placed by the Ukrainian government on the arrival of the F-16s to be a weapon of destiny, a weapon that would, you know, tip the scales in the favor of Ukraine. Um, Apparently, Ukraine right now has six or had six operational F-16s. Um, the aircraft are limited not just by the number of aircraft, but more importantly by the number of pilots, trained pilots. Reports were that Ukraine had eight uh, trained F-16 pilots available at the time that the F-16 became operational. There was a lot of talk about the F-16 being used to carry long-range strike weaponry, to be used as a air-to-ground weapon system to help blunt the Russian advance. But it appears that instead the F-16 has been configured solely for air-to-air work. And it's not about the F-16 versus Russian fighter aircraft. It's about the F-16 being used in a way that American, British, and Israeli fighter aircraft were used back in April when Iran launched its major missile and drone and cruise missile attack against Israel. The first line of defense for Israel were aircraft that patrolled the skies to shoot down drones, shoot down cruise missiles, to engage whatever targets appeared on their radars. The F-16s in Ukraine appear to be serving the same function. When Russia launched a massive missile, drone, cruise missile attack against Ukraine, the F-16 was in the air, and according to the Ukrainian Air Force, successfully engaged a number of Russian drones and cruise missiles. Then the airplane went down, and there's speculation as to what happened. According to a Ukrainian member of parliament, the Ukrainian F-16 was actually brought down by a Ukrainian Patriot missile system. And this member of parliament said that this is because of the confusion, the lack of coordination, the lack of, the ability to, separate the F-16 from the air defense activities. So the F-16 was shot down by a Patriot missile. This appears to be the truth. And the reason why I say that is that the Ukrainian Air Force is just going bonkers right now. They want this person held to account. They wouldn't be getting this angry if this person hadn't exposed the fact that, Ukraine shot down its own airplane. And this is the reality that they're trying. Go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt you. This is the lady who is part of the People's Party, right? She is the MP in Ukraine.
Correct.
She posted, yes. So what was the narrative at first? That Russia brought the F-16 down, right?
Well, I mean, at first it was that the F-16 took off, landed, and then was destroyed by a Russian missile strike on the airfield. The next was that the F-16 collided with a Russian drone, and so that a Russian drone brought it down. All the Ukrainians, the only reason why we know about this is that the Ukrainians published an obituary about the pilot who died, and this pilot was, had a big media presence. He was, touted as, this is the face of the F-16 program. This is one of our brave pilots who received all this training. He was photographed with the F-16s when they arrived. He was one of the pilots that were flying these things. So when his name was published, it was clear that, if he died, he probably died in an incident related to the F-16. And so then people started to, speculate and such. And I think the truth is now apparently clear. It's the only story that makes sense, that this plane took off, configured to air-to-air combat, was engaged in, because Zelensky himself, the president of Ukraine, has talked about the need for allies to work with Ukraine to build the kind of missile defense shield that the allies in Israel had built for Israel. He wants the same thing for Ukraine. Allied aircraft out there shooting down Russian missiles and drones in coordination with the Ukrainian version of the Iron Dome. And so it appears that that's what they were trying to do with this F-16. And it was successful to some extent, but in the end, it's a very dangerous environment. And if you don't train for this, if you don't practice, the deconfliction of air defense and air, actual aircraft, the Patriots looking for targets. And if the F-16 comes into its umbrella and hasn't deconflicted properly, it's going to be seen by the Patriot as a target, and then it's going to be shot down.
Thank you so much. Maria Zakharova, actually 2 days ago, during a news briefing, said U.S. gives Ukraine carte blanche for attacking inside Russia. Scott, what is the current situation in the Kursk region at this moment?
I mean, apparently Ukraine has made a significant incursion into Kursk. According to Russian sources, in certain areas of this incursion, Ukrainians continue to attempt to advance. The Russians are fighting back. They've contained much of the incursion. They've pushed back in other areas, but Ukraine went in with significant forces and have reinforced these troops. They committed a significant part of their strategic reserves. These are very well-trained, well-equipped troops. But it appears that they're being killed in large numbers. There's not sufficient reinforcements to sustain the momentum of their initial attack. The Russians haven't panicked. They've deployed forces necessary to blunt and contain the Ukrainian assault, but they aren't looking to rapidly eliminate it. And one of the reasons why is that in order to rapidly eliminate it, you would have to withdraw resources from the main effort of Russia, which continues to be the ongoing advances in the Donetsk area and the Donbass, where Russia is on the cusp of capturing the city of Pokrovsk, which is a major logistical command and control line of communication city. If it falls under Russian control, it'll be impossible for Ukraine to continue to support major defensive operations on the east bank of the Dnieper River. It will probably require Ukraine to withdraw to the west bank to go over and concede the Donbass and large parts of Zaporizhia and even parts of Kharkov to the Russians. So this is one of the goals of the Kursk operation was to get Russia to divert significant troops from the Donetsk operation, so that caused the Donetsk operation to lose its momentum. Russia hasn't done that. In fact, Russia has continued to reinforce the Donetsk area and is achieving dramatic results. And but the price that Russia has to pay for that is the continued political embarrassment, humiliation that is accrued when Ukraine attacked into Kursk and seized Russian territory. Ukraine continues to occupy this territory. But it appears that Ukraine itself realizes that this was folly, and now there seems to be an effort to withdraw what's left of these strategic reserves, reconstitute them to the best of their ability, and then throw them into the battle. Ukraine is saying that they need to launch a major counteroffensive in the Pokrovsk area to blunt the Russian attack and prevent the fall of the city. So, we'll see. Welcome to war, in the fog of war, and the reality of war. War is not easy. It's a very difficult proposition, and it's a very bloody one, where mistakes are measured in human lives and equipment lost. And both sides have made mistakes, but right now it continues to be advantage Russia.